This is WCM's Park Update, a weekly show covering the outdoor hospitality industry, hosted by Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. During each episode, you'll hear from special guests and campground experts on topics that will help your park flourish. WCM's Park Update is a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine.
Hi, welcome to another episode of WCM's Park Update. I'm Ben Quiggle, editor of Woodall's Campground Magazine, and the show today is sponsored by Midwest Electric Products. Of course, my esteemed colleague is here, Mike Gast, CEO and founder and overlord of Emiola Group, which is a marketing firm. And our guest today is somebody that would probably pretty familiar to our audience, Mark Lemoyne, the co-owner. I almost said co-founder. You guys didn't find the park. You guys bought it. So the co-owner of the Coloma St. Joseph KOA Holiday, along with his wife. And I had the pleasure of visiting that park a couple of weeks ago. And I mean, it's a beautiful park. You guys do a fantastic job there. So
thank you, Ben. It was fun to have you here.
Yeah. And I just, walking around, I have not stayed at very many KOAs. So that may come to a shock to some people, but just walking around, we brought our 3 kids and they really enjoyed all the amenities you guys had. And all the new stuff that you guys have been putting in the last couple of years. Can you just talk a little bit about some of the investments you've been making over the last couple of years at the park?
Yeah, so believe it or not, Ben, this is our 9th season since my wife and I have been the owners here of the Coloma St. Joseph KOA in Benton Harbor, Michigan. We are actually celebrating our 50th anniversary as a campground. We started in 1974, and in 2016, when my wife and I bought the park, we literally became only the second owners. Like a lot of franchisees that have come into the KOA system, we bought an older park. It was always a KOA, so it was well established with a great customer base. But many of the amenities and sites were tired, to put it nicely. So we went to work immediately, starting reinvesting in the property. As early as 2017, we had a brand new store and cafe, which we added. And since then, we've also converted a number of sites from tent sites into glamping, rustic chic glamping tents, we call them. Added 7 deluxe cabins. We've added a total of 27 deluxe patio RV sites in our tenure. And really have just, met the growing demand that is, very commonplace now in the outdoor hospitality industry.
So, Mark, what do you think you've done to your camper nights? Has it exploded since you've taken it over in 9 years and completely done the campground over?
No doubt. The business as a whole is doing about 5 times the amount of revenue that the previous owners had, with their best year. In fact, the month of June and July, it looks like this year we're on trend to do more in just those months than what they did in their entire season of their best year ever. So, I think we're doing something right. And in terms of the investments, every year we have always been focused on a balance of 3 areas. One, core infrastructure. And I describe that as, things that just need to be working. It's like, changing your underwear. Everybody expects that you're going to do it. They're not going to applaud you for doing it, but you better make sure that the electric's working, the septic is working. And sometimes it takes some big money to make those investments. But we would do that. The second bucket would be amenities, things that could be simple as some landscaping, flowers, or paint on an older building or on our split rail fences, just to make things look nicer. And then some of those amenities could also be ones that generate a little extra revenue, like a gem mining sluice activity for the kids, or bike rentals. And then the third bucket, of course, is just those which very intentionally are being put in to generate more revenue. And that would be, our site types, getting rid of tent sites that don't have as much demand as what RV sites do, and making RV sites into something that people really want and are willing to pay a little more for each time.
I think what was interesting was, my my wife obviously isn't in the industry, and we were walking around the park, and we noticed, the paw pen sites that are, you guys have a number of paw pen sites, and she was like, what are those things? And I was like, well, they build fences so you can keep your pets close to you, and you can charge a little more on that site. I guess just adding little things like that, I guess, probably helps your bottom line quite a bit.
That it sure does. KOA has shown that 60% of our guests, if I'm getting the number right, 60% of our guests travel with a pet. And as all of us, we welcome them, but most guests have to have them on a leash at all times and make sure that they're well behaved, with other people and other dogs. But we've been pleased to introduce a number of paw pens, as Ben had shared, where we have 5 camping cabins that have the entire living space, the fire pit, the picnic table, on a nice concrete patio, and then of course some natural areas for the dogs to do their business. But the entire living space is fenced in, and we have 2 deluxe cabins that are also pet friendly. So people can have really that, hotel experience in an outdoor package along with their pet. And then lastly, we have 3 deluxe patio RV sites that are also fenced in, and they've been immensely popular.
So what's the markup on that, Mark?
I think we do about, $10 more, and that $10 more for the site because of its infrastructure, and then we'll charge another $20 for the pet. So strangely enough, even though we introduced 7 brand new deluxe cabins, let me back up. 3 years ago, when we put in 7 new deluxe cabins, we had 2 previous that were originally on site. And what I was afraid of is that people would call and say, yeah, I want to make a deluxe cabin reservation, but I don't want one of the old ones. So what we did with the original, to get rid of the pejorative term of old, is we totally refreshed it inside and out, added the paw pen fenced area, charge a little bit more. And lo and behold, my older original deluxe cabins with the paw pen actually generate more revenue on an annual basis than the brand new ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's awesome.
It's just a reflection of the demand.
Yeah. I think one of the neat things too was getting to meet some of your staff members. And you have, I believe, the general manager was their operations manager was their title, who have this really nice school bus that they have parked at the park, I guess. That's
We've been very blessed with to be able to recruit some amazing team members that really help Carl and I, carry our level of hospitality to our guests. They're passionate about it, and in the big picture, they've adopted the outdoor lifestyle, just as we have. We've done it as an owner of a campground. They're doing it as an employee, but still very passionate in serving our guests. And as you shared, enjoying their own travels in our off season in a schoolie.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you mentioned that there's you're having a great time there this year, and it's always on the upswing. But it can't all be sunshine and roses. There's got to be some real challenges out there this year. What are you seeing as a challenge to owning a campground in 2024?
So specifically this year, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of a right sizing, or I hesitate to say a contraction. We are definitely seeing a change, though, in the trends of what guests making reservations. More popularly over the last 3 to 4 years, guests would make their reservations 3 to 6 months in advance. And, as owners, we could just guarantee that, certain weekends would always be full. The guests are here. We're turning away guests. Phone's ringing. I'm sorry, we have no availability. This year it's changing a little. I mean, we're obviously making the investments that are continuing to draw guests to our park and meet the needs of the reservations that people are looking for. But even with all of that investment, we're finding that people are making their reservations at times 1 month ahead of schedule, or 2 weeks ahead of schedule, or 1 week ahead of schedule. So it gives me a little bit of consternation, as I'm looking at my booking chart and I still see holes.
Yep.
It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? In the end, it ultimately fills in, but it's not filling in quite as quickly as it used to.
So I guess,
Go ahead.
during COVID, I heard, a lot of people were pre-planning. Obviously, stuff was booking up. But I mean, I guess before COVID, was it like this, or is this worse than before COVID?
I would still say things are better than they were before COVID. Just generally speaking, we all have looked at the data. Since COVID, 30% of Americans who never camped a day in their lives or hadn't camped in a long time have now embraced it again and are coming out and enjoying outdoor recreation on a much higher level. So I think it's maybe just kind of a softening of that higher level and not a return, not at all a return to pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah, I guess I meant on the how soon they're booking front, whether they're planning ahead or not. I guess, is that better before COVID, or is it
I
kind of
still think
getting
it's
back?
better. I still think it's better today than it was
Okay.
back then, because we have that many more guests or individuals who are interested in looking for these kinds of experiences.
Yeah, to be honest, as a traveler, I'm kind of a spur of the moment kind of thing. My wife and I do that. And so, during COVID, it was really hurting us because we were like, man, I don't plan 6 months ahead. So I was like, what? And then you had to plan, 6 months to a year ahead. So it's kind of nice to have spaces open more immediate now. But yeah, I can definitely understand how that would impact you as a park owner.
Well,
So.
I'm a planner, Ben, so I'm always going to encourage you to think ahead.
So, Mark, you mentioned before we went live here that your customer base seems to be, changing and just rolling over every year. Why do you think that is, and what do they look like now?
We've been pleased as a shared. When we bought the park, it was pretty tired, and I would say that the guest base was, a clientele that was comfortable with not necessarily having the nicest of facilities or even paying a lower rate. Well, as my wife and I made the investments into our property, as the quality rose, so did the price. And obviously, combining demand with that, we were able to, command a higher price. And, now I think we really do get discriminating guests that are looking for that higher end experience, not too posh. I think we do a really nice job of creating a manicured area without it being too sterile. You're still outside. There's still going to be tree roots. There might actually be, grass growing where it's not supposed to, or some gravel that has spilled over, but it's still a well cared for environment, and the team that we've assembled are providing. I'm happy to put them up against any campground, including my fellow KOAs, providing second to none hospitality. And as a result, we're getting guests that are repeat customers. We're getting guests that are telling us, I'm here for the first time because I've had so many friends telling me that we have to come here, and now they're coming. So we certainly love those, that word of mouth recommendations.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to take a minute to recognize our sponsor, Midwest Electric Products, and then we will be back to talk with Mark. Hi, welcome back to WCM's Park Update, and we are chatting with Mark Lemoyne, the co-owner of the Coloma St. Joseph KOA holiday. And I guess, Mark, we're after the July 4th holiday. I guess, how did, we chatted a little bit about how your season's going. How did specifically the July 4th weekend go? Was there any excitement or anything?
It was strong.
Yeah.
We had a full park for three nights. There was a little bit of ebb and flow because this year, the holiday fell on a Thursday, so we had some guests that were coming before the weekend or the week, and then others that were coming in on the fourth for the longer weekend.
Okay.
So we still had to juggle a few balls of transition, but guests had a great time. Weather was great. Enjoying family, experiences, here in the beautiful outdoors. It's a great industry to be in. Yeah, I mean, we were very pleased.
How do you
So,
guys?
Mark, go ahead.
I
Go ahead, Ben.
imagine you guys collect feedback from campers to and take that feedback into consideration for what you guys do at the park. I guess how do you guys get that type of feedback as the people are leaving or coming or staying? I guess, and I know you walk around the park quite a bit, you and your wife, so that probably helps. So
Yeah, no, it sure does. As we've assembled a team to really do kind of the day-to-day operations, when the park is full, I mean, I get a lot of joy of just walking around and, listening to guests, hearing them, observing them. And then as I speak to them, I refer to what I do as, I'm the maitre d' at an upscale restaurant. I mean, I'm literally just walking around wanting to make sure, how was your stay? How was the beach
yeah,
today? Oh my gosh, Junior has, grown over the years. He must be eating his vegetables. So just, connecting with them in very intentional and genuine ways so that they feel welcome. And we're always open to constructive feedback. And fortunately, many of our guests are very eager to offer that, whether it be, some challenges they might have with accessing our Wi-Fi while we have a full park, or, the neighbor's dog, for example. But my team is very quick to, correct any issues that are within our control. And guests just they feel that genuine connection that we offer. And I think it's very commonplace within the private campground industry, in strong contrast to our government-sponsored competitors.
So, Mark,
yeah.
we saw some of the glamping facilities you've got there in the park now. Are you where you want to be with that? Is there more to come? What's the prognosis for glamping on your park?
Yeah, so my wife and I were pleased to be the first to introduce traditional glamping as we think of it, with the canvas tent and the nicely decorated interiors. We were the first to introduce it here in Southwest Michigan in 2019. I believe in many regards, the industry is very popular. But it's becoming somewhat saturated. There are, a handful of other options within Southwest Michigan that those guests looking for that type of experience have to choose from, and that's a good thing. But it also lends to the reservation trends that we were talking about earlier, where they might not have booked up as quickly as what they had historically. In the end, they end up becoming full. So we're pleased with that. We like to just offer it, still as just another option. And we'll have guests that come in with an RV but see it for the first time and say, I really want to have that experience. Or they have friends or family that might not have an RV, don't want a tent, but they think they could do that. And it just gives one more option for families to gather here at our campground.
Yeah. Have you guys thought about adding any like unique stuff, like a kind of Stoga wagon or anything like that besides the tents?
You know, we have been so pedal to the metal, Ben, in the
Yeah.
last 8 years. Whether it be the three rustic chic glamping tents, or all the deluxe patio RV sites and the deluxe cabins. I think we're going to come up for air right now, and there's three letters or three words represented in the word ROI, and we've been so focused on the I think I'm gonna try to focus on the return a little bit more over the next couple of years and just take a breather.
I know when we were stayed there, you guys hosted a community event, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I guess maybe just explain a little bit about what you guys were doing. I think it was with the Chamber of Commerce, and why that kind of involvement is valuable for you as a park owner, and it's probably valuable for other park owners too, I guess.
Sure. It absolutely is. And, it's a part of my DNA. I mean, my wife and I are very engaged in our local community. I'm in fact the board chair of the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber of Commerce. So I get to, put my thinking cap on and help lead, public policy decisions and marketing decisions that help not only my business here in Southwest Michigan, but all businesses, restaurants, manufacturers, and even the community just as a whole, with
Yeah.
education and daycare issues that we might all be struggling with, so that we can attract and retain tremendous talent. So yeah, we were pleased to be a host site for what they call their next gen group. It's younger business owners, younger than even you, Ben, and definitely younger than Mike and me. Yeah, they came out for a nice time on our family fun zone with a cornhole tournament, and were able to see the park and just understand what we had to offer in the community as well.
So, Mark, one of the things that I think we all found out during the pandemic was that governments aren't always attuned to what commercial camping is. Do you think we're in a better situation now going forward than we were pre-pandemic?
I would sure hope so, Mike. I mean, that was a very difficult time for all of us in the industry, and for my wife and I, we were only 3 years in to this entrepreneurial adventure. So, like many of
Yeah.
us, we had sold everything we owned. Literally, it was underneath our feet. The minute we earned a dollar, I was putting it back into the park in anticipation for folks' arrival. And when that all of a sudden became a question, and government policy makers were encouraging people to just stay home, that was absolutely terrifying. I hope that we have learned that those policies were not helpful, and in fact probably did more damage in the big picture than the pandemic itself. Just psychological, the education impact, and not to mention, of course, just the economics. But we're outdoors, we're selling, there's volumes of information that talks about the health and physical and mental health benefits of being outdoors, and we're offering that to millions of people every day. So I'm grateful that they're embracing it, and certainly hope policymakers would never ever consider going back to something like that.
Do you think the outdoor hospitality industry as a whole has done enough to make sure that doesn't happen again? Or what,
I,
like here in Michigan, what's to say it doesn't happen again, I guess.
um, well, I'll I sure I sure hope not, Ben. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
I like to think that my wife and I, along with other very capable business owners, have been able to demonstrate, that we
Yeah.
are absolutely passionate about keeping not only our guests safe, but our staff stay safe, and we've been well represented in the industry. I mean, Toby has done a tremendous job with KOA, representing us on the national level. And as have a number of other state and national associations as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I guess looking forward to this fall. Do I guess when you guys close, do you guys expect a really strong fall this year too?
I sure hope so. We're a seasonal park. We're only open middle of April to middle of October, as is the case for most parks that are north of the Mason-Dixon line. Our summer is our peak season. 80% of our volume comes between Memorial Day and Labor Day. But Southwest Michigan's a beautiful area that is adorned with numerous orchards and vineyards that are tremendously popular in the fall. And as long as the weather's decent, our weekends tend to be strong. And then we always finish off our season with 3 Halloween harvest weekends that are also immensely popular. Well, guests will come in, they'll decorate their sites, and everybody's most favorite activity is trailer treating, where all the kids walk around, and adults dressed in costumes and just have a good time. So yeah, we're hopeful. It is pretty much a weather dependent activity, but it's always a nice way to end the year.
Are you holding, I talk to a lot of park owners. Are you holding your breath that nothing big happens before the election?
Ben, I think as many people who know me understand that I had a 24-year career in government affairs prior to just getting out of that industry and into the outdoor hospitality industry. We as a country, it's incumbent upon us to be engaged. I regret the fact that it feels we've lost the art of being civil, where we can just have a conversation, expressing our differences, but still enjoying time with one another and respect for one another. I hope we can get back to that. But you look throughout, our history as a country, we've had more challenging times before. And I remain, eternally optimistic that, we'll get through this as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show. And people, just give us a little bit of information about how people can learn more about the park, I guess.
Oh, wonderful. I appreciate that opportunity. So, as I said, we're the Coloma St. Joseph KOA. You can find us online at stjosephkoa.com.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful park. And I know a lot of people don't realize, but Michigan is just exploding on the fruit side of things. Blueberries, tons of stuff over on the western side of the state, so plenty of reasons to visit. And I know the craft brewery market's really doing well too. So, yeah,
it sure is. Cheers to that.
Yeah. So, well, thank you everyone for watching, and we will be back again next week.
Thank you for listening to WCM's Park Update, a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Join us for a new show each Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn for daily news and updates, and subscribe to our news feed on our website at woodallscm.com.